when I was finalizing all my notes and everything, I was like, this is a lot. We may not get to the end of it. That's okay. Because there's kind of two different scenes going on in Genesis 30 anyway. So if we get through the first scene, we'll be doing good. All right. Who wants to? Let's just do like normal and read all the way through it, and then we'll come back to the first verse and go from there. Stop right there. So that's kind of the first scene in Genesis chapter 30. The second scene is between Jacob and Laban, and I don't know if we're going to get that far today or not, but because there's a lot to kind of chew on in that first 24 verses. And if you want to kind of my summary of that when I was reading and studying is God's plan and promise will outrun and outlive all of our mistakes, all of our stupidity, and all of our faithlessness. What might seem like a deal breaker to us means nothing to him in regards to his plan and purpose. What seems like such a giant thing to us, while completely comprehended, measured, and planned for, is utterly insignificant to God. If that doesn't simultaneously humble and comfort you, I don't know what will.
I thought you were going to read the title. I started writing.
No, it was just like the big picture, the 30,000 foot view of chapter 30. So starting at verse 1 in chapter 30, Jacob's got 4 sons already by Leah. You see those in chapter 29, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. All right. And what did we learn about this family last week in chapter 29?
It's dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional with a capital D, right? In verse 1, we already see more evidence of that dysfunction. We see jealousy, desperation, and envy. So verse 1, it says, when Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she envied her sister. Give me sons or I will die, she said to Jacob. That sounds a bit dramatic to me. What do y'all think? What do y'all think she's feeling right there? Worthlessness? Desperation? Left out? Having children or not having children was kind of a status thing as well. So she doesn't have the status that she wants because she doesn't have children. Anybody else? I got this on backwards, so you probably don't want to hear a word I said. Fear? Why fear?
Well, he moved. It's like there was a lot of stigma surrounding what God presented the law about women bearing children and that being tied to their status with me.
Yeah, it was a sign of a blessing or not, right? To have children. I think it's a pretty perfect picture of humanity as well, at least in one regard. We see a woman who has things that others would be willing to die for. She's got wealth, right? Her father is quite wealthy because of her husband. She's got love because what does chapter 20, I think it's 29, say about Jacob? He loved Rachel, right? She's got wealth, she's got love, she's got safety, she's got security, and her husband is quite obviously highly favored by God, right? She's got a lot of stuff already. People could say she's got everything, right? But she's got everything except what her sister has, right? Dysfunction with a capital D. She's jealous of her sister. She's envious of her sister. And I know, like, if you just read verse 1, 2, you kind of feel sorry for her. You kind of feel bad for Rachel, but you'll see in the verses to come what her heart posture is on this whole thing. Children are a valid and noble desire, but her actions are indicative of her heart posture. And like I said, you'll see that in the verses to come. Somebody read verse 2.
And against Rachel, he said, am I in place of God who has withheld from you?
All right, so what does verse 2 tell us about Jacob? Is he modeling a supportive, understanding husband in verse 2? Or is he just adding to the dysfunction by kind of kicking that responsibility of comforting his wife and blaming it on God? It's true. He gets angry and uses truth as a weapon to avoid the responsibility of leading his wife. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
He uses a true statement to avoid that responsibility. What he said was true, but it was not very helpful in that moment for her. How could he have handled that better? Sometimes the truth, you can say something that's true and it not be very helpful. It could not be very loving. Somebody besides John, what could Jacob have done better in that situation?
It shows that I hear you, I understand, but let's wait on God's time.
Bingo. How about let's pray? How about let's talk to God about this instead of, I'm not the one who closed your womb. God did. Deal with it. That was kind of his response in that moment. All right. Verse. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Go ahead. I didn't catch that.
Right. So he already got the underlying anger for it.
Well, what translation are you reading? I'm sorry, Randall. What translation are you reading? ESV? See, mine is CSB, and it says he became angry with Rachel. My verse 2 says Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, am I in God's place who has withheld offspring from you? But that is a valid point that needs to be discussed. If that was the case, if his anger was kindled, what you so mad about, bro? Is it the fact that your father-in-law kind of stuck it to you a little bit and you're working for him and increasing his flocks and you're bitter and angry and carrying this chip on your shoulder and you're just letting that add to the dysfunction of the family because you're pissed off?
He's working another 7 years for her. And all she's doing is nag. Comparison trap's a funny thing, right? When you compare to other people, you miss what you have at the moment.
Most definitely.
That's the difference between soul and Dave. Just comparison trap. Peer comparison.
That's a big, I don't know. I think we need to rest right there for just a second because that's a big something other to think about. If you're carrying all this junk with you all the time and you're bitter and you're angry, that's going to be the types of ways you're going to respond to people. Emily done cut John over. So you've got that baseline. That's your baseline is anger and bitterness. You're not going to handle stuff very, very wisely at all. So that's something we all need to think about right there. That's pretty deep. I'm glad you pointed that out.
So the Hebrew literally means Jacob's nose burned. It's an idiom for sudden anger.
Sudden anger.
Thank you. Because I was like, you know,
All right. So Verse 3, she said, here's my maid Bilhah, go sleep with her and she'll bear children for me so that through her I can too build a family. Where have we seen that scenario before? Abraham and Sarah. How'd that work out?
In that word, oh, the Muslim and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Made a man.
Yeah, might mess with things.
So here we have, where we at? Granddaughter or granddaughter-in-law? Is that right? From Abraham? Is that right? Or great-granddaughter-in-law? I don't know. Can't count that. I can't count the generations that fast. But so anyway, same song and dance. I'm not getting what I want from God, so I'm going to take it into my own hands and give my maid to my husband so that she can bear me some children. So again, I asked the question, how did that work out for Abraham and Sarah? Fine. It worked out fine, right? Like, God still blessed Ishmael.
Yeah.
And this is what I want y'all to kind of hear. God still blessed Ishmael. He didn't quit on his promise. God did not get mad and leave. He continued. He made good on his promise. He stayed the course on what he said he was going to do. Is that because Abraham and Sarah deserved it? No, absolutely not. It's not because they deserved it. It's because he's a good God. Not because we deserve it, but in spite of the fact that we don't deserve it. Let that sink in just a second. Go for it.
Jacob had all these women thrown at him. He's still angry.
We're not going to go there, John. We're not going to go there. Somebody's going to throw a shoe. Yeah, we're going to have to separate them two. I've seen them over there. They're already fussing. Y'all. So like I said, let that sink in just a second. He's a good God, not because we deserve it, but in spite of the fact that we don't deserve it.
And to this day, Ishmael's people he's still trying. There's revivals.
That's an encouraging reality to think about. He is good, not because we deserve it, but in spite of the fact that we don't. Right? We don't continue sinning so that grace may abound. What scripture is that, John? You got that memorized, right? We don't continue sinning that grace may abound. It's Paul talking later. I was going to look it up last night and I forgot to. But we know that if we're his, that we're good. We're taken care of. But we're good because of Jesus in spite of ourselves, right? Side note, since John's giving side notes, I want to give a side note. If you're still uncertain about Rachel's heart posture in this moment, read verse 8 again. Randall, read. Go ahead, Emily.
Rachel said, I have had great struggle with myself.
So what's Rachel been concerned about this whole time? Winning. That's all she cares about is winning, right?
Once again, all these women having babies and letting people raise them and they're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is also a mimic of, so Rachel is the younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
What did Jacob and Esau do to her? Russ.
It's Romans chapter 6 on that grace may abound.
So the same things happened between Jacob and Esau as happened between Rachel and Leah, except it's not in the one who's outside of them.
Yeah.
The rest letting abound with us. Rachel's intended to marry first. Leah should have been married again, so the youngest would rebel over the oldest, Jacob and Esau.
My translation, verse 8 says, Rachel said, in my wrestlings with God, I have wrestled with my sister in one. So I don't know. her heart posture is about winning, and almost kind of, I wrestled with God in one. You know, it's kind of, I don't know. I may be misinterpreting that, but it's
Yeah.
So verses 9 through 14. I should have stopped you at 13, but that's okay. I've got it wrote down as 9 through 14, but it should have been 9 through 13. But anyway, so the competition continues in verses 9 through 13. But the ball is in Leah's court now. What is she doing? The same thing, right? It's the same old play. Yeah. So she's not bearing children anymore. Rachel's slaves just had children, so all right, I'm going to give you my slaves, and I'm going to have some more. It's a competition, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The same common play, right? Nothing new under the sun. They're doing the same thing, back and forth competition. Somebody read 14 through 21, please.
14 to
21.
And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband, and wouldst thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight on thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the fifth son. Keep going.
Yeah, through 21.
And Leah said, God has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, God has endued with me a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him six sons. And she called his name Zeb.
All right, so who is Reuben? Sorry? That is Leah and Jacob's firstborn. Reuben is the firstborn of this particular section of chaos in this family. He was out working a wheat field and found mandrakes and brought them back to his mom, right? So that poses a question: what in the crap is a mandrake, right?
Oh, I think mine's very free.
free. But the funny thing, so they're aphrodisiac.
I didn't expect anybody to know what that was. I certainly did not until I started researching this. John, you don't count. So mandrakes were a fruit. They were tomato-like and yellow. The roots and the fruit were widely believed to be an aphrodisiac, as well as a fertility aid. In some of my research, and some folks say that wasn't true. It was not. They weren't an aphrodisiac. They were not a fertility aid. It was a superstition. When I dug around trying to do my own research on them, I didn't run across that part. So I don't know if that's.
Their compounds are. It's like.
Not to bring some tape. Yes, I'm ready.
Well, a lot of medicine is derived from plants, but
Right.
so the reason why I know this is mental health stuff. It literally is. Mandrake is used as a byproduct for some of the mental health medications, which I said. It's like Outlaw. And anything that's like last name EINE or however you say that it lowers blood pressure. So if you see that,
Some of my digging last night, it said it contains alkaloids that can be narcotic and hallucinogenic as well. So they all just getting high on these fruit plants. But anyway, we'll move on. I just wanted to let everybody know what we're dealing with here. But in verse 15, we see a glimpse of Leah's resentfulness, right? What's verse 15 say? But Leah replied to her, isn't it enough that you have taken my husband? Now you also want to take my son's mandrakes. She's resentful. She's pretty bitter and ill. It's highly likely that when Leah stopped bearing children, Jacob completely ignored her because he loved Rachel. She's not bearing any children anymore, so that transaction is unnecessary, right? Who's that?
So you said it's formatted to take away my husband. You take away my son's mandrakes also. So what was their knowledge and understanding of men?
Oh, they knew, right? And I'm getting to that. So every time I lead, John's like, he gets ahead of me. That's just because he's so eager to participate. Ain't that right, John? So I'm going to back up just a little bit. It's highly likely that when Leah stopped bearing children, Jacob completely ignored her, focusing solely on Rachel, who he loved. Leah was likely not in a great place emotionally or mentally, and that's likely why Reuben brought her the mandrakes, potentially at her request. I would say it probably was at her request, from a place of despair. Now, it says he found them when he was working the field, so it may not have been a go find me some mandrakes type of situation, but he knew where his mom's head was. He knew that she was probably in a pretty bad place. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Y'all agree with that? Disagree with that? Now you may answer. You're going to have to get a buzzer. I'll have to give John a light. Anybody besides John got any thoughts on that? Think about what Leah's going through right now at this particular juncture.
The son's old enough to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says, where does it say she had, it's in verse, it's in verse 35 of chapter 29. It says that Leah quit bearing children. So all of this time, she's not bearing any children, and Jacob doesn't love her anyway. So she's already yearned for that love from Jacob. She's wanted that husband and wife dynamic from the get-go, but Jacob kind of got tricked into marrying her in the first place. He didn't want to be married to her. He wanted to be married to Rachel. Right? So imagine where her head's at right now. Yeah. I mean, if you read after each of these children, she says, now my husband will love me. Now my husband will love me. Now my husband will love me, right? That's all she's cared about this whole time is building that relationship. So in verse 15, we also see the extent of Rachel's very shallow need to win. She's willing to trade a night with her husband for fruit. And in my mind, I honestly question, it's made clear throughout 29 and 30, I think, that Jacob loved Rachel, right? He was all about some Rachel. But at least at this point, I have to question, does Rachel love Jacob at all? Is that love reciprocated, or do we have just this really big mess going on? Jacob loves her, but she doesn't love him, and Leah loves him, but he don't love her, and they just got a mess going. Right? And that's all it is just look at my trophy, Yeah. They've had a heck of a model, right? And this is something else that was really important to me in in studying this that I really want everybody to think about. It's important to think about the fact that there were 8 kids at this point that are witnessing this dysfunction, right? We got Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher are all witnessing this. Sure, Asher may have been a little young to remember it, but maybe not. And Reuben's caught in the middle of the dysfunction. He's caught in the middle of the competition. And this had to have a lasting impact on these kids, wouldn't y'all say? Right? You'll see in the chapters to come that these brothers didn't necessarily have the most healthy relationship. Right? What'd they do to Joseph? And then told her daddy that he died. Right?
I was just coming to that.
Like this dysfunction continues from this point forward. It has been since Abraham and Sarah, like Noah, and continues all the way through. Oh, y'all think this environment could have caused that relationship between these brothers? You know, they sold Joseph into slavery, and it's a mess. It's a big mess. So let's move on to verse 17 through 21. Yeah, absolutely.
What is it? I mean, the statement that's said here is, you must come to me before I.
Yeah.
That's just a mindset that's highly hot. And this,
It kind of makes you, I mean, it's a transaction. It's a transaction. And so Leah doesn't really have the greatest heart posture either. I believe on a global level, she's probably got a little better heart posture than Rachel does, but it's obviously not that amazing right here. So who wants to read 17 through 21? Tina.
God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a 5th son. Then Leah said, God has rewarded me for giving my maidservant to my husband. So she named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a 6th son. Then Leah said, God has presented me with the precious gifts. This time my husband will treat me with honor because I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. Sometime later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah.
So we've, up to this point, up to verse 17, we've talked some mad trash on Rachel and Leah and Jacob, right? They're pretty messed up, right? But in verse 17 through 21, we see that despite the dysfunction, referring to Leah here, despite the dysfunction, and a dysfunction that she most certainly contributed to, Leah's been talking to God about it. I mean, it says God listened to her in verse 17. For him to have listened to her, she had to be talking to him, right? I think that's a pretty accurate, honest, and beautiful representation of what true Christianity looks like. Far from perfect, yet in and through the chaos and dysfunction, choosing to give that chaos and dysfunction to God. You're a mess. You've been through the ringer, you know. Things aren't the prettiest, but you still give it to him and still let him handle it. It's not about putting on a suit and tie on Sunday morning and looking pretty. We can all do that and still be a complete disaster, right? Who wants to read verse 22 through 24?
And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, God had taken away my reproach. To which verse?
All the way through 24. Yeah.
And she called his name Joseph, and said, Lord shall add to me
So what do we see again here in 22 through 24? Who said what? John, what'd you say? Mercy and compassion. But where did that mercy and compassion come from? He listened to her, right? What does that mean? She had to have been talking to him. She's doing the same thing through her dysfunction, through her heartache, through the competition, through the toxic back and forth with her sister. She still talked to God at least some. You know, Rachel is my least favorite person in this story right here, but she's talking to God. Who am I to judge her? You know, she's talking to him and he heard her.
I'll say that air about her playing. She's playing God, so to speak.
Rachel's pretty freaking proud, ain't she? Like, she's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm Rachel. I'm gorgeous, and I'll have it how I want it, you know. And but here's the beautiful part of this, right? I can't stand Rachel reading this story. Like, she's just, I don't like her. I don't like her, right? She's what we call a mean girl, right? But through her mistakes, you come home with me now.
Oh.
Oh. I hope I'm there the day John gets to meet Leah. That's going to be funny. I'm going to say he's been talking about your eyes for years. So anyway, let's get the train back on the track, John. So through her mistakes, her toxic behavior, all her faults, that didn't silence her voice in God's ear. She's made all these mistakes, been toxic as can be, really mean to her sister, really mean to her husband. That didn't shut her voice out of God's ear. Rachel, and this is why I don't like Rachel, okay? But even through all that, God listened to her, God blessed her, God gave her a son while she's naming the biggest blessing of her life. I'm not 100% certain if this is what his name means. My translation is a little bit confusing right here. But it says, may the Lord add another son to me. So while she's naming the biggest blessing of her life to date, what she's been wanting since the beginning of chapter 30 and before, she wasn't content. She wanted more. And she would get more. She would have who? Benjamin. And she would die in that childbirth. All of these children that are in the midst of this chaos, what are they? What's happening in this chapter, these chapters, the 29, 30, and 31, these children that are being born in these chapters, who are they? They're the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. These are important people. Trailer park trash, but they're important people, right? That's what we would consider them to be. They got the Dollar General shoes on and they just got grocery store feet and they just dysfunctional, man. But gave birth to the 12 tribes of Israel, to the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. God kept his promise through the noise, through the chaos, steady, unwavering. He already knew all this was going to happen. He still chose this family. He still kept his promise. Chaos does not affect him. It only affects us. Right? It doesn't matter how big of a tornado we build down here. It don't affect him, but it affects us. And the interesting part of it is we tend to create that chaos in one way or another. God didn't create this chaos that we've got going on in our life. We did, more than likely, right? We got to mess it up. We create this chaos, and then we sit and look at it. Oh man, it's so bad. Victimized by our own stupidity and lack of faith, usually. We have created a chaos, sat here and looked at it, and become a victim of our own stupidity and our own lack of faith. All the while, God's still working, still moving, and he's still fulfilling his promise. That's some heavy stuff right there that all of us need to think about. He's still moving no matter how bad we're messing it up.